Okay, let's dive in. So picture this scene, right? It's almost unreal. You've got this incredibly soft white sand, water that's just unbelievably clear, like turquoise glass, and then these massive limestone cliffs shooting straight up all around.
Yeah.
If you saw a certain movie back in 2000, you probably know exactly where I mean, MayaBay.
That's the one. The beach, right, with Leonardo DiCaprio. That movie basically burned that image into everyone's mind. Paradise found.
It really did. And look, it is stunning, no question. A proper natural wonder.
Oh, absolutely.
But the story of MayaBay, it's also, well, it's a pretty stark lesson, isn't it? About what happens when that kind of fame hits a fragile place.
Yeah, the pressure it creates. It reached a breaking point.
And then this huge effort, really unprecedented, to try and fix it.
Yeah.
So today, that's our deep dive, MayaBay. It's part of the Phi Phi Islands down in Krabi province in southern Thailand.
Right, and for this we've got a couple of really detailed travel guides covering the history, the practical stuff, and importantly, we also have some notes from someone who visited recently.
Ah, good. So first-hand impressions.
Exactly. Gives us a feel for what it's actually like on the ground right now.
Perfect. So our mission here is to get the full picture. You know, what made it so famous to begin with? Why did it nearly collapse under all that tourism? How did the authorities step in? And crucially, if you want to go today, how does that even work? What are the rules?
Yeah, the new, very strict rules.
It's about pulling out those key details from the material, giving you the quick but thorough rundown on this famous spot and its whole conservation story.
It's a fascinating case study, really. That tricky balance between letting people see beautiful places and, well, saving them.
So let's start at the beginning. Even before the movie blew it up, what was the big draw? What made MayaBay special?
Well, the guides really rave about its natural features. I mean, we mentioned the sand, the watercolor,
Yeah.
but also the sheer cliffs creating this kind of perfect sheltered cove.
Yeah.
It just ticks all the boxes for that ideal secluded beach fantasy. The movie just took that existing beauty and, blasted it out to the entire world.
And that amplification, it led to, well, you called it a breaking point. It sounds like it was a disaster. What was actually happening there before they shut it down?
Oh, it was bad. The sources paint a really grim picture. Before 2018, it was just chaos.
Chaos how?
The descriptions mention huge numbers of boats, especially speedboats. And the key thing, they were anchoring right on the beach, like literally driving onto the sand.
Wow. I remember seeing some photos mentioned. Just wall-to-wall people, boats everywhere. Shocking, really.
Exactly. One guide called it a nightmare scenario, just waves of tourists being dropped off constantly. But the real damage, the deep ecological harm, was from the boats themselves.
The anchors and propellers.
Yeah, constant traffic, anchors dragging across the seabed, propellers churning everything up. It was just devastating the coral reefs right there in the bay, wrecking the whole marine ecosystem.
So the closure in 2018 wasn't really a choice.
It seems like it was the only option left. They had to give the coral, the fish, everything, just a chance to breathe and maybe start recovering from that relentless pressure.
And it wasn't just a quick pause, was it? I remember reading it. It went on for a while.
Not at all. Initially, they said 4 months.
4 months. That seems optimistic.
Very. It got extended, then extended again, multiple times. The sources say it started reopening, but progressively, partially, in 2022. And it's been considered fully reopened under these new rules since October 1st, 2024.
Okay, so it is open now. But visiting is totally different because of all this history. You said controlled access. What does that actually mean for a visitor today? You can't just roll up in a speedboat to the main beach.
No, definitely not. That's the biggest change, the absolute core rule. Access isn't through the famous bay anymore. It's all strictly managed now. For environmental reasons, for preservation.
Okay, so where do you land then? How do you get in?
All the boats now go to Lo Sama Bay. It's actually on the other side of the island.
All right, Lo Sama Bay. And what's that arrival like? Those notes you mentioned from the recent visit, what'd they say?
Yeah, the notes described arriving there, tying up at this floating pier. Boats apparently have to get people off pretty quickly onto the pier.
Okay.
And then they have to move off straight away, park somewhere nearby. The actual landing, especially if it's busy, sounds a bit energetic.
Energetic.
The notes use the word hectic. You've got park rangers, tour guides, all managing the flow of people onto this fairly small pier and then onto a narrow bridge leading inland.
Right, so a bit of a bottleneck potentially. Get off the boat there and navigate the hustle. And then how do you get to the actual MayaBay beach?
So they've built this wooden walkway. It goes across the skinniest part of the island, basically connecting Losama Bay, where you land, over to MayaBay Beach itself.
Ah, walkway.
Yeah, it's a short walk. And it's designed specifically to keep everyone on the path, stop people trampling over sensitive areas.
Makes sense. Okay, so you walk across, you arrive at the famous beach. And this is where the other really big, really important rule kicks in.
This is the big one, super important, no swimming. A strict no swimming policy right in MayaBay.
No swimming at all.
Well, you can wade, like right at the edge, maybe up to your ankles or knees, but absolutely no swimming out into the bay. And the notes, the guides, they all stress this rule is enforced, seriously enforced.
Why? What's the main reason for that?
It's all about protecting what's recovering there. That long closure allowed the coral to start healing, marine life to come back.
Right.
Swimming stirs things up, fins can damage coral, sunscreen washes off. It all harms that fragile recovery. And apparently, black-tip reef sharks have started returning to the bay, often seen in the shallows.
Wow, really sharks.
Yeah, which is a great sign. But obviously you need to keep people and sharks safely separated. So no swimming helps protect both the ecosystem and the visitors in a way.
It really sounds like the national park authorities aren't messing around with these regulations.
They are not. The sources are clear. Park rules are strictly enforced. Your guide will give you a briefing before you even step off the boat. No walking on coral anywhere. Not really an issue on the sand, but important for other stops. No feeding fish.
Right.
And definitely do not take anything. No sand, no shells, no coral fragments, nothing.
And drones. People always want drone shots.
Forget it. Unless you've gone through a whole official permission process beforehand, which is probably unlikely for most tourists, rangers will shut down any unauthorized drones immediately.
So thinking back to those old photos, the crowded beach, boats everywhere, how different does it feel now, even if it's still popular?
It's night and day, apparently. Everyone agrees, guides, the recent visitor notes is just incomparably better than that pre-closure mess.
Even with people there.
Yeah, because the type of impact is different. There are no speedboats churning up the sand right in front of you, blocking the view. No anchors destroying the seabed in the bay itself. So even though there are still visitors, the feeling is much calmer, much more natural. The main source of the physical damage is gone, and the access is controlled.
Okay, that makes sense. So you follow the rules, you walk in, you don't swim.
Yeah.
What can you actually do once you're on MayaBay Beach?
Well, the main thing is just taking it all in. Photography, obviously, getting that iconic photo with the cliffs.
For the Instagram shot.
Exactly. You can relax on the sand, and the notes mention how soft it is. And it feels peaceful because there are no vendors hassling you, no market stalls. It's just the beach.
Okay.
There's also apparently a short marked trail through the jungle behind the beach. It leads up to a viewpoint, gives you a different perspective looking down over the bay.
And these visits, they're usually part of a bigger tour, right? You don't just go only to MayaBay.
Almost always, yeah. Most trips are half-day or full-day tours where MayaBay is just one, albeit major, stop.
And that's where you get to swim and snorkel.
Exactly. The tours usually include snorkeling stops elsewhere, maybe back in Losama Bay where you arrived or in other nearby lagoons. You can expect to see colorful fish, hopefully some recovering coral, maybe even those reef sharks if you're lucky.
Okay.
Another really popular stop is Phi Phi Leh Lagoon. It's this stunning lagoon nearby, incredibly clear, shallow water, great for swimming. Some tours might even offer a quick ride around Phi Phi Leh Lagoon in a traditional longtail boat. That's another classic photo op.
So you get the famous view at MayaBay itself, but the actual swimming and snorkeling happens at these other spots nearby.
That's the usual setup, yes. Plus, tours often include lunch, maybe back on the main island, Ko Phi Phi Leh at Tansai Bay, and they might stop at other islands too, like Bamboo Island, which is known for beautiful beaches, more relaxing, maybe more snorkeling.
Sounds like a pretty full day out. Okay, for someone thinking about doing this, what are the practical things they need to nail down, getting there, for instance?
Right. Depends where you start. You're already staying on Ko Phi Phi Leh, the main inhabited island.
Yeah.
It's super close, just a 20 or 30-minute longtail boat ride. Easy.
Okay. And from further away, like Phuket or Krabi?
Then you're usually looking at a day tour, typically by speedboat, sometimes ferry. That's going to be maybe 1.5 to 2 hours each way on the water.
And tour operators. Any mentioned.
One of the guides mentioned Love Andaman as an example. Said they have comfortable speedboats, give good briefings, crews seem organized, which, probably helps with navigating the new system at Losama Pier. And don't forget the park fee. Maya Bay is inside the Hatnafarat-Tharmu Ko Phi Phi National Park.
Right, the entry fee. How much is that?
Okay, so for foreigners, it's 400 Thai baht for adults, 200 baht for kids aged 3 to 14. For Thai nationals, it's much less, 40 baht for adults, 20 for kids.
And is that usually included in the tour price?
Usually, yes. Most reputable tour packages bundle that in, but definitely worth double-checking when you book, just in case.
Good tip. What about the best time of year to go, weather-wise?
Okay, the high season is generally November through April. That's when you get the calmest seas, lots of sunshine, and the best water clarity for snorkeling.
So avoid the monsoon.
Definitely try to avoid May to October. That's monsoon season. Seas can be rough, boat trips might be uncomfortable, or even canceled altogether. It's worth noting, though, that December and January, while great weather, are also peak tourist season. So expect the biggest crowds then.
Got it. Any other key tips from the sources or the notes for visitors heading there now?
Yeah, definitely book your tour in advance, especially during that high season or around holidays. It gets busy.
Makes sense.
If you can, maybe look for smaller group tours or operators who specifically mention being eco-friendly. It kind of aligns with the whole point of the bay's recovery.
Good point.
And try to go early. It's still the best way to see it with slightly fewer people around. Some tours actually leave ridiculously early, like before 7 a.m.
Wow, okay. And packing. What essential?
Right, essentials. Reef-safe sunscreen is a must. Regular stuff damages coral. Sunglasses, hat, swimsuit, obviously, for the other swimming stops. Water shoes or flip-flops are useful for the boat and pier.
Okay.
A waterproof case for your phone is a really good idea. Maybe a small dry bag for valuables. Bring the park fee in cash if it's not included in your tour. Maybe a copy of your ID or passport. And some small cash for tips or incidentals. Oh, and maybe lightweight rain gear. Tropical weather changes fast.
Good call. And mobile signal.
Yeah, don't count on it being strong everywhere. Might be patchy. Good chance to just disconnect, maybe.
Fair enough. And accommodation. Where do people usually stay? Can you stay near Maya Bay?
No, zero accommodation right at Maya Bay itself. It's uninhabited Ko Phi Phi Leh. The closest place with hotels and guest houses is the main island, Ko Phi Phi Leh. Loads of options there, from budget hostels to fancier resorts.
Or stay further afield.
Or yeah, base yourself in Phuket or Krabi on the mainland. Lots more choice there. And just do Maya Bay as a day trip by speedboat. Totally doable.
And just to circle back one more time, those rules, they're not just suggestions, right?
Absolutely not. The sources really hammer this home. The etiquette, the park regulations, they are non-negotiable. They're vital for the bay's continued survival. Don't take anything, sand, shells, coral. Pack out all your rubbish. Don't step on or touch coral when you're snorkeling elsewhere. Respect the wildlife. It sounds basic, but it's fundamental to letting this place keep healing.
Okay, so pulling this all together then, what's the big takeaway? What does the whole Maya Bay story really show us?
I mean, it's a really powerful example, isn't it? First, of just how devastating unchecked mass tourism can be for a fragile place, especially a marine environment.
Yeah, the before picture was grim.
But then, maybe, hopefully, it's also a story about resilience, about the potential for recovery when you take drastic science-led conservation steps.
It really throws that conflict into sharp focus, doesn't it? The desire we all have to see these incredibly beautiful places versus the need to protect them from basically being loved to death.
Exactly that. And it shows that massive intervention, like closing it completely for years, totally changing how people visit, it can lead to real ecological improvements. It proves that rules, even the inconvenient ones like no swimming, sometimes they're just the necessary price for keeping a place alive long term.
So we've kind of traced the arc today, from Maya Bay's movie star fame and its undeniable beauty, through that environmental crisis fueled by its own popularity, and landed on how you visit today in this new era of, well, strict conservation-first access.
Yeah, it's a pretty compelling real-world story of damage, recovery, and now, hopefully, ongoing careful management.
Okay, so as we wrap up this deep dive, here's something to think about.
Right.
Maya Bay's closure and reopening, it does offer some hope, right? It shows that even places that were really hammered can start to heal if we take serious action. But it also leaves us with a bigger question, I think. You know, as more and more people travel globally, how many other fragile, beautiful spots out there are facing the same kind of pressures that nearly destroyed Maya Bay? And what level of access, what kind of rules are actually sustainable for these places in the long run? Maybe more personally, what responsibility do you take on as a visitor when you choose to go to these incredible but ultimately very delicate corners of the world? Definitely some food for thought next time you're planning a trip.